Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Phil Carew Show. I am honoured to have a very special guest here, Isacc James. This is season 2, episode 33. Yes, he's the English heavyweight champion 2023 in Taekwondo, and also, not long, received his black belt. My goodness, welcome to the Phil Carew Show 2.0, Isacc James.
Thanks for having me, Phil. Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Good morning. Yeah.
With regards to your black belt and also your championship win, what was your journey with martial arts? Was it as a young age, or did you do anything else that led up to your Taekwondo?
Well, going like way back now. So I did like 2 karate lessons once when I was a bit younger. I was living in Kent, Gravesend, and that was it. Didn't really carry on or anything. So it was just kind of like, I think the seed got planted then. Years later, moved to Colchester, sort of thing. Obviously, gone through school, breakdancing, so and so on. I think the thing that led me to like Taekwondo was the stunt register, like trying to work on like different skills. And I saw Taekwondo was in the local area, and I thought, well, the first 2 lessons were free. I went, and then ever since then, it's been an ongoing thing, you know. What was it? So after the first 2 lessons, I think it was the breakdancing as well that people knew that I did, which kind of brought people together.
Yes.
In the club a bit, sort of thing, and they made me feel really welcome. And ever since then, I've not stopped since. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great achievement. You know, I remember the first time I met you. I was in Colchester, and I looked out to the side of me, and I thought, wow, that's amazing, because I think you had about a handful of young lads there that were doing some flares. And I thought, that's amazing. And they were doing it with the speed and the way you're instructing everything, breaking it down, because you do get quite a lot where sometimes people don't realize what it does to do the necessary sort of breakdown steps to get into a full flare, even other sort of necessary moves, because, you know, a lot of the time, if you don't get those particular sort of movements right, you know, you could easily injure yourself. And I think it's very, very, you know, easy to do that if you haven't got anyone like yourself to break it down properly. Because, you know, I've seen people in the past where they've actually tried to do something with breakdance, and I thought, oh my goodness, epic fail. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. And you guys, you should see, you know, check out Isacc James. If you're into your breakdancing and your martial arts Taekwondo, check him out. He's an absolute fantastic guy. You know, I've been following Isacc for a number of years now, and behind the camera off the show, you know, we did mention about Taekwondo with, you know, incorporation with his breakdancing, and I think it's great because, you know, the flow of the movement, you know. We've mentioned this, I think, with Chris Credelli, that I've seen before in kick-ass moves, and, you know, Isacc said, "Oh wow, I didn't come across that before." But yeah, there was a guy where he was actually, I think it was a bowling alley, and because of the floor, the surfacing on it, you know, like you would do for breakdancing, it was
it's like smooth, isn't it?
Exactly, very smooth. Yeah. So Chris Credelli said, "Oh, so show me a move." So as he was on sort of the downward low, where you put your hands down, and then you're into sort of a crouch mode, just before your hands down, and then you come out with like a kick, as you would do as like a lift your foot up. This would be like where my foot is, and one foot down, so it would be like this. And then before you would like rotate, you'd do like a kick out. So it would flow. It would be like this. So as you would move into like a slight flare, it'd be like a repeated kick. And, you know, it's it's surprising how dance or hidden dance. Because what do you think your perspective view of capoeira? Because it has some movement of like form of breakdancing as well involved.
Yeah. They cross over quite a fair bit, to be fair. Like with capoeira, they suppose they used it as a it was a dance, but it was disguised. They used a dance to disguise it as a fighting style when they were using it as when they're slaves, sort of thing. I've got to look into it a bit more myself, but it's I also kind of got, I think my first idea of capoeira was from Tekken, Tekken.
Yes, that's it. Yeah,
that guy. What's his name? Eddie Gordo. That's it.
That's it, Eddie Gordo. And you got one in Street Fighter, DJ.
Yes. So you got a lot of characters that actually combine or use like breakdance moves, like you were saying, similar movements like flares, windmills, and stuff. I suppose realistically, if you were to use those moves as an attack or form of defense, I suppose it's unorthodox. It could throw your opponents off, sort of thing. I don't know what it'd be like in a competitive setting. Whether, say, if I went to a taekwondo competition, I'm actually planning on doing this at some point. So I've got a competition coming up on the 16th. It's a smaller competition, not as big as the English. I was thinking of entering and actually trying to experiment with a few things and seeing what I could do. Speaking to one of the refs and stuff and just saying, "Oh, I do this." I was wondering not if I could, but like say if someone was going for an attack and
is it possible?
Way or something.
Well, you don't know, do you? Because the thing is, there are certain things that have been sort of put in place because obviously the regulations now. I was speaking to a number of different martial artists, and they've mentioned that you're not even able to put a spinning back fist now in because it will be regarded as an illegal move. Now, in real life, you can't turn around and say to someone, "Excuse me, can't use spinning back fist. You just attacked me in the street. So what am I going to do? Just turn around and tickle your armpit?"
That's so true,
in realistic sense, you're going to go for the first thing that instantaneously that you've been training for in a defense mode as well. But I'm not expecting, people to act like as if it's an action film like Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris and all the other greats and Scott Adkins. I think the thing is with martial arts, I've noticed that the great thing is that not just from grassroots, but also bringing it back to make people realize that it can be fun and it doesn't have to be volatile to the point of where you think, "Oh my goodness." I know John Wick's come out recently, John Wick 4, but we've also got to realize that, yes, it's nice and it's great and in honor of all the different arts and martial arts sort of put together, but also other people have also got to realize if they don't do a form of martial arts, it can be highly dangerous, just like in WCW or WWF, it used to be WWF, where you get people where they say, please, they had to pre-warn people not to copy these things because it's the same as martial arts, isn't it? If you go into martial arts and, the reason why they have these strict regulations and for insurance purposes is the last thing you want to do is you see someone do something and you think, oh my goodness, would you see that? What'd you do? And you think, well, that's why they said don't do it. But the thing is, with the regulation, no doubt there'd probably be other sort of like other red tape. Some people might disagree, some people will agree. But the old school, I was just looking back on some like form of martial arts at the time, going back as far into the early 2000s to further back, old school, because there was one guy, I think he was regarded as like, I will go back into this because we will chat. There's no doubt this won't be the last, for yourself. I'd like to invite you on to the Phil Carew Show 2.0. The martial artist that I saw, as far as what I can remember, he was doing kicks, really, really sort of quick kicks like Bruce Lee was. and it was like he had a very good sort of side kick, very good sort of spinning sort of back kick. He had not, it wasn't just a spinning back kick, he had a very good spinning back fist as well. And with other competitors, that will be overruled now and seen as an illegal move. But I think with other competitions, they will still allow it because it's not point scoring anymore. It's regarded as, it's not point scoring. It's actually there where you would do like in boxing. You know, if there's a particular thing, you know, obviously with the regulations, you're not going to get someone in the back of the head like this. You can actually get someone where they're positioned properly, because they call it like rabbit punches or something like that, or one of the things that how they punch somebody, where I'm sure the referee will say that's not a legal punch, that's not correct, you know. And you get people come in where they may even headbutt them and they don't even realize that it's not even allowed either with Thai boxing, because it used to be called the 9 limbs, but they've cut it down. Well, realistically, it is 9 limbs, but it's now 8 limbs. They had to take away the headbutt because they can't say, oh, it's the art of 9 limbs. Well, realistically, it's 9 limbs because you're allowed to use the headbutt, but when it's competitive sense, it's only 8.
Yeah, because I know that there's 2 types, isn't it? There's like, so you got the left way is the one where you could headbutt and stuff. I was watching some videos. I can't remember the guy's name, but it was like a legend who was like just like doing bits. Like I watched the video and I was just blown away by just. I'm thinking of picking like doing something like that as well. Maybe not left way with the headbutts. I don't know how that would affect the old noggin.
Yeah, this is what I mean. When people look back further historically, like grassroots stuff, people get shocked because with like the Muay Thai, Muay Bron, you know, it's old school, you know, and then obviously when it comes to like America, they've taken on to that where it become kickboxing, because they've taken away the elbows, the spinning back fist, and all of that, all the other sort of things where over time they've taken away certain things of part of the art. So it's all more of mainly kicks. You may possibly be able to get in the knee, but then now certain competitions you can't even use a knee. You can't use a knee. You can't use. You've got nothing left. You'd be like lucky to just clap hands with each other. End up just being boxing. Soon they'll just take away the kicks, and then there'll be no kickboxing. It will just be boxing. You know? And this is what I mean. But I think it's good that competitively, the only thing I've noticed now, which has kept most competitive things as well as being point scoring, would be UFC, Bellator. You know, you got Bellator, UFC, 1 championship, and you've got oh my goodness, it was pretty brutal. I didn't realize this, but obviously from my origins of the Philippines and Philippine martial arts, there was a footage taken by someone, but they do it now where it's like UFC but with sticks. But luckily you've got help. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. That's exactly my reaction as well, Isaac. It was like UFC with sticks, helmet and gloves, and that was it. And they had the shorts on. They had no armor on here.
Just
nothing on there. It was just the head guard and the gloves and the sticks. And that was like, sticks, good luck.
Like dual wielding, like.
And then that was it. Good luck. Go from there, mate. No holds barred. Yeah. And I was like, wow. Now, obviously, from that reaction on there, I think some people will think, freaking heck, what is that? Because obviously that's the way it is, isn't it? You know, and it's got to the point where I think most people, they get entertained by new things, not just that, but they've got part of the UFC. Dana White has actually brought out a slap contest. Who's the slap champion? Oh my goodness. I thought, wow. The first time I saw that, I thought this guy, his face, oh my God, goodness. It was like that. It was like
some people get
swollen
just
beetroots or
KO'd,
something,
like,
or you know, yeah, I know.
you know, that does the slow-mo, and they're like,
Spot the difference, Isaac. It was like, this is what it was, and now this is what he looks like.
yeah, it's lethal.
You know, each to their own. You know, but you know, UFC is one of them. But Dana White, he must have noticed something in that, and thought, right, look, it's not a martial art, but slapping. Wow. I'm wondering if they bring in a new one with just kicking.
I mean, just kicks. Oh, well, like you have to stand there and take the kick.
Yeah. I know.
That's more like free kick, penalty shootout.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna have to wear more than just armor, Isaac. I think the insurance company. I don't know how the insurance companies would be able to take it.
I don't know how they.
I don't think
there's one thing that, like, I don't know. Have you seen that, like, telephone boxing? The red telephone box. Who come up with that? Like, that's. I remember seeing it like in anime, in Bucky, and then you see it like the actual, like, you know, original, like, London telephone boxes, and then people are like back to back, and then they turn around and then they throw an elbow, and it's like just in such a confined space, like. That's insane. Like,
I don't know how people find all these different ways of doing things. It's just, I suppose, you know, it bides the time, but at the same time, I suppose it's, to some people, it's entertainment, you know, and you know, it works for them and it's making them money. But I'm thinking, wow, these things that people sustain, you know, you've also got to think of it, consider it. Look at Jackie Chan, you know, even in regards to that, I mentioned him before in my interview where he was doing stunts that was so dangerous and severe. I think even Michelle Yeoh, his co-acting with Michelle Yeoh, Malaysian sort of martial arts actress. I think she almost died. She almost died in one of his stunts, and it was that dangerous that I think Jackie Chan was like, "Wow, you need to be careful." And both of them, and you know, there's so many different things, but these people do these amazing stuff to entertain us. You know, their own life online, and they, look at that. Even Tom Cruise, he gets injured, and he's doing well for his age, and he's doing his own stunts as well. You know. But it makes you think how these people, incredible people, being able to do their thing that they love and their passion, and they're doing something like this. Because even, like, for example, if you look back, Isaac, on if yourself when you're ready, I've got Sylvia Seamack on one of my interviews. He's been on twice now. Shout out to you, Silvio. If you're not watching, I know you probably will see this at some point. Sylvia Seamack. And come on board, where he's a fellow stunt guy and martial artist as well, and he was once just similar to you as well. Actually, he started off as a martial artist and went on to film. He was actually a Taekwondo champion himself at one point in his life, similar to yourself.
Yeah,
you know, and he was part of Team GB, and that's how I got discovered. So who knows? Watch this space, Isaac James, you know, and you could be like the next guy in line, you know, in being able to do that. So, like, I thought I'd sort of get that in there, Isaac, and sort of mention it to the world out there, because, you know, the world, there's a lots of possibilities of things of what you can do with what you've got. And the other thing is just to celebrate, before, not to forget, let everyone forget this, but Isaac has been on this journey of Taekwondo and martial arts, where he's achieved his black belt now. Now, a lot of people, you know, I don't know what your insight on this is. People get excited. Other people have got excited. I did when I was a lot younger, when I first got my first black belt. And it doesn't end there. You know, for those who have just started the journey, I applaud you. Well done. Keep going. You know, I encourage you. Keep going. Don't think, you know, some of you guys out there, young men, young ladies, once you've got your black belt, that's not the end of it, you know, because sometimes, you know, some stop at a certain stage, maybe for, I don't know, they might have their own personal reasons for why they stop, but it doesn't stop there. You know, it's one of those ongoing journeys, depending on what your future plans are, where you want to go with it, you know. And it's not one of those things where you put the black belt on, that's it. You can teach with it, you know. You can teach with it. You can do a number of things with it, apart from hold your trousers up and put your gi on. But you know, there is a number of different things you can do with it, you know, and especially at a great level, you know, not just where you are in the UK. You can teach, you know, at different levels. You know, what's your plan for the future in regards, as well as competing? Were you planning to instruct as well?
You know what? Before we got an interview, I just enrolled and signed up for an instructor's course today. Yeah, so I'm over the moon about that. It's it's something me and my instructor have been kind of talking about leading up to me, you know, grading for my black belt sort of thing. You know, I've done a little bit of teaching here and there at the club to just kind of help out, because we've got like what it's 4 black belts in total at our club now. When I was like first kind of like, you know, starting taekwondo, we had loads. Obviously, again, some of them moved onto like, you know, like better progressions, like work and stuff, you know,
yeah,
and just personal reasons and stuff like that. You know, I mean, there's no reason why they couldn't come back. I always say, you know, come on, guys, isn't it? It was great when we all, you know, but I suppose it's like that next chapter as well. You know, like there's certain things that I know I can bring to the club. In terms of like, you know, my knowledge from gymnastics, breakdancing, personal training, just planning on like just meshing that all together, and then you know, putting Colchester Taekwondo on the map. You know, helping not just myself, but you know, anyone that wants to take their martial arts or their fitness or just anything physical to the next level. You know, I love seeing people improve. I love seeing, you know, just, I just like seeing people that have like, you know, progressed and worked, and you can always learn from anyone, you know, whether they're beginners or, you know, yeah.
You know, I appreciate that, Isaac, because like I've mentioned this before, and I think also as well, humble beginnings from certain people that I've known in the martial arts world. Now, you know, there've been people where they've come off the grid for a little bit. They've been doing martial arts for a while, and then they thought, you know what? And most of the people I've spoken to, it's keeping them on track, you know, and whatever kind of martial arts that you're with, you know, that's suited to you, because obviously there's never going to be one that's always going to feel that, you know, there's one over the other. Because look at that, you know, classic example of the pioneer of mixed martial arts, Bruce Lee. There was a style with no style, you know, and he found all the different strengths of what suited him. I know there was a Jeet Kune Do, but there's always something over something else that evolves, because there's always open to suggestions to improve on things that are the openings for different things. Now, there's always openings. Now, there could be something that like you've incorporated from what you're doing with something else, you know. And it's the same thing with like now when I was studying Arnis, now Arnis is also known as Kali and Eskrima, depending on which part of the Philippines, because obviously where I'm from, it's called Eskrima. Certain parts of the capital, Manila, it's called, excuse me, Arnis. And then also in America, sort of they know it as Kali. Now, with these things, they've got all the different sort of areas that branched out with weaponry, and that can go hand in hand. So even if you've been taught with a weapon, you don't necessarily mean it's the same base. So the same basis and the actual maneuvers intertwine and interlink with each other, because when you take that away, the movement is still the same. So if you may find this is the same as Taekwondo minus the weapons, and there might be something there where like you've got a closed fist. Now you can do that. I've noticed this. You've got the back of palm of the base of your hand. When I did this, when I was doing harness, when I had I haven't got it here, but it's for the actual harness stick, you know, and harness and the baston they call it. Other than the blade, because obviously it's a replacement of the blade, you can also have the same movements with a hand. So it doesn't matter if you have a weapon in your hand, you can use the same movements. How would you say that you've noticed that with the martial arts that you've done? Is there any similarities in there with your movements that you've done? You know, even like the basics leading up to your black belt.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, you get quite a lot of like moves that you do both in like our patterns, which is our set sequences that we do at each belt grade, and then you've got like step sparring where you do this with a partner, and you work on your focus, distance, and timing. So you've got things like straight fingertip thrusts. You've got like knife hand strikes as well. Like hammer fists as well, so like back fist strikes, lots of different things that you would use. I suppose that's more attack based. I think like with defense as well, I suppose when you're talking along the lines of like say using the same move like as a weapon sort of thing, you got blocks. I suppose me just going off the top of my head now, just from memory, you've got like an inner forearm block like this. And I suppose that kind of movement would look like I've got something in my hand here.
Exactly.
Like, you know, it's like over the top as well. You've got this move in one of the patterns where you kind of go over and you do like a hammer fist on the top. It could look like you're hitting them with I guess like you say, there's so many ways to kind of apply it. Well, that's quite new actually. I suppose if you were, I don't know, supposedly making I don't know if it's been done, like a new fighting style where you actually mimic certain properties of weapons and stuff, and then you use that as a, I suppose
this is it, because when I first stepped into the Philippine martial arts sort of community and started practicing it myself, I was surprised how much where the non-weapon based open hand with the weaponry sort of based is the same. It's just additional when you've got something there. So you wouldn't even realize that whatever was in your hand, like you said, we call it in harness puño, which is the base butt of the stick, the baston. So when you're doing it, as you're striking, like first strike here, like 1, 2, like a figure of 8 going across to the face. So you'd be doing that 1, 2, and then whatever you want to do with, if it's an open palm or a strike, anything that you want to do in the third, because there's so many different variations of it, and using lock movements while you're doing it, while trying to disarm the attacker. There's so many different things, even a sort of basic basis. I didn't realize this until more and more over time, because it's easy to see something and witness it when you watch something like on a film. Like, for example, the guy in Born Identity, he's actually a Philippine martial arts choreographer. And if you look back, some people go, "Oh yeah, no, it's something else." And then I looked back, this was only because of the DVD extras features, because you want to see who choreographs the fights. And, there's parts of it where some people even misperceive what the actual martial art that's used, or combat sort of techniques and moves in the film. Because with Tom Cruise, with Jack Reacher, he was actually Krav Maga they were using. And with like Mission Impossible 3, with there's harness slash sort of Kali, which other martial artists would call it for the Americans, and over here in the UK. But depending on where you're from, you know, it's all the same thing. But I personally call it harness because of my grandmaster. Poor guy, poor. That means tribute, you know, a sign of gesture and respect, as we have fellow Philippine martial artists, as we do in like karate and other sort of styles, where we do that or that, you know, and the bowing. So in regards to that as well, this is just going to go off key just quick, because just to make the show a little bit more fun. If you were to choose to be a particular character, like a superhero or a hero, and you had to mix in your sort of key skill sets or areas, like with your taekwondo and your gymnastics and also your breakdancing, what kind of character could you sort of put in mind? You think, well, actually, I've got something in here that's that I could sort of put together. And would you be something that a character similar to what you know that you like, and sort of make it as your own, though, with your own kind of twist to it?
Oh, well, a lot of my friends that I see in the gym, like when I'm training and stuff, they call me like Goku, like Black Goku, that kind of thing. Like, don't get me wrong, like obviously these guys like have, you know, superpowers.
Super Saiyan. You're gonna turn your hair. Your hair is gonna go white or something like that, or yellow.
Just transformations and that.
You're gonna go into sort of the full Goku mode, you know, where he's like going against these badass guys, you know, that was on the. I don't know if you're into sort of Dragon Ball Z, folks, into your anime and sort of all the martial arts stuff like that, then you'll know what I'm talking about, because he goes into full state where he's just evolved so much, hasn't he, Isaac? You know,
ultra instinct, isn't it?
That's it.
Yeah,
he's gone beyond.
Like, if that's real, then great. I don't know. Like, see, like me and my friends were talking about that kind of thing. Whereas, you know, you got that, what's that flow state where
that's it.
When you do something in any sport, it could be a thing, like, and you have that moment where, whether it's in a competition, if it's like a performance setting or something, like, and you, like, that day was just that day, like everything worked, like you just felt at one, like your mind and your body was just, you know, all the moves were working, everything was great, you know. It's like, imagine being able to do that on demand, or have that just every day. I mean, you'd be unstoppable, wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean? And I don't know what it would take to train that. It would take like years, you know, of mastery of your art form.
Well, the thing, I think it's possible to have some form of life state like that, but he puts himself a lot of sort of goodness me. I think most people would be wondering where you are, though, Isaac, because if you could do it without having the isolation side of it, because he does isolate himself for goodness me. In reality, people would have thought you disappeared if you was to do that, because of how he does
fast, it. If you were that fast, I mean, it's funny because like Bruce Lee would, I don't know, like a lot of these animes and stuff, like although it's like fictional characters, a lot of the stuff isn't real. They do. One thing I've noticed, like, I'm a huge fan of anime. Like I've watched quite. Like I'm quite selective with certain animes that I've picked like over the years, but like with like Dragon Ball Z, Hajime no Ippo, anything that has fighting or martial arts in it, you'll find that they do actually like pick things that derive off of, I don't know, feats that martial artists have done, or concepts that they've spoke on in the past. Like Bruce Lee was like, when he says about water can flow or it can crash, be like water. You know, empty your mind, that kind of thing. You know, if you were to work on these things, and all of these things come into play, you know, like you see a lot of like what Shaolin monks and stuff, like they train. I don't even know. So like what I'm saying would be an understatement, but these lot wake up like 6 o'clock every single day. They physical training, all of the things, the flexibility, the stuff is brutal, you know, and that's like their way of life. I don't know, if you were to expose yourself to that for, I don't know, X amount of time, your body would be able to do things that not your average person would be able to do, just going to, I don't know, a martial arts class and learning, so your basics and then working. I feel like you get to a state where you've like you say, with the breakdancing and stuff, like I've still got a lot to learn. In fact, I'll always be a student all the time. I like asking questions. I like learning things. I'll sit down and watch. Like, you'll find that when you master all the stuff, I suppose at that point is there where you can start creating your own crazy concepts and stuff, and really trying to, you know, fine tune your inner workings, and then sharing that with, I don't know, your class or the world, wherever it is. Or if you just wanted to take your thing that you've created, go to competitions, and then just, you know, you just, yeah.
Well, this is it, Isaac. You know, I think it's good to explore these areas, because sometimes you don't know where it can lead. You know, it could lead into any other areas as well as just using it as an art form, because you know, this is quite intriguing to sort of see that the things that you do, a combination of different things, there's nothing wrong with, you know, not just your own personal development, but self-improvement. There's always room to improve in different areas, because there might be things that some people can't see with fresh eyes. Like, I could notice something and you'll go, oh, actually, no, yeah, that's a good idea. I'll try that. And then you put that into this and you think, wow, what a combo, you know, and then you've created your form of combo. That might be something that someone might have done something similar, but they may not have noticed it in the same way as you have, because you might see an opening and then you use that with your range of movement, because nobody thinks of it, of being able to try or test it. It's like pressure testing, isn't it? You know, it's the same in any form of martial arts. I remember this from my two guys that I know, fellow martial artists in the Philippine martial arts community out there in the US and sort of globally. There's now gone out there in the Philippine martial arts discussion. I've got good friends of mine in the US, where you got Dean Franco that have been on my show, and also Tom Pina. They've mentioned things where, you know, they've had people on the show when they have this discussion where it gets to the point of where they show and even explain that there's different ways of pressure testing, because, you know, in a sort of similar sort of realistic sense, because then at least you know what it's like to sort of incorporate these movements. You know, it's like the same as your taekwondo, and you might even bring in other arts that you haven't put in yet, and you think, well, like you mentioned before, just to let everyone know, there are people out there that may have a boxing background, you know, and put that in. You got boxing background, kickboxing background mixed in. You know, there's always variations of someone. No one's always one dimensional, because you don't know. Someone will come in, they may have a jiu-jitsu background mixed in with that. You know, a mixed martial artist, MMA fighter, you know, that will come in and say, Isaac, did you realize, you know, when you encounter this could actually intertwine with doing this? And you think, well, actually, no, I didn't see it from that concept, didn't see it from that angle, because everyone's got their own style, you know, and their own style that suits them. They've got their own way of doing things. And then, like, even with this breakdancing thing, I think it is a great thing that you're thinking of doing that, because it makes people realize, it's like the repetition of things. When you do a low kick, it's like a kick and a sweep. So as you're going in, like with breakdancing, there's a particular movement. So before you start trying to incorporate that as being a dance move, like you would be as a flare, because you're going down on the crouch, and then as you sort of try and rotate, like in gymnastics, when you bring your leg out and you got your one foot out there and the other part of you is here, and then as you bring that up, then you start using it as a sort of rotational thing, and then that repeats a kick. So as you're doing it, you're actually not realizing that you're doing a repeated kick over and over again with your flare. You know, and I thought, wow, you know, it's I'd give Kick-Ass Moves a look, you know, if you haven't seen it, Isaac, you know, and anyone else out there that hasn't seen it, because I know there's a lot of, over the years, some people might have come across it, some have not, you know, because obviously it used to be on the BBC, and it's been out for a number of years. But Chris Credelli, you know, I'm a big fan of Chris Credelli, and he went round doing a lot of all these different things from different arts and finding out what they are, not just the actual physical aspect, you know, what they put themselves through, the pressure testing and everything, but their belief system, because they have different belief systems. I know they can get quite, they incorporate like a spiritual philosophy in it, the spiritual philosophy in it, and the philosophy of what they believe in. You know, in the.
Just going to charge my eye quickly. Sorry, Phil.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I wanted to die. quick.
That's all right. Yeah, with the Philippine martial arts, I don't want to go too deep into it, but we have something where there was a guy. If you've ever watched something called the Screamadors, there's a guy. It is actually a real thing, because some people think, oh, it's one of those things that you see in a film, you know. But it's an actual real amulet. It's called an anting, and it's one of these things. It's like an amulet that some people that get given it by grandmasters or people that they know, and it's like an amulet. And apparently this guy was wearing it. He was all the way through from his youth years, from up to passing over to, I don't know, a son or a grandson, something like that, and through their sort of martial arts lineage. And I was quite surprised about this, because a lot of the time I said to my eldest son, I said, look at this. You know, I said, no, look, it's real, Riley, because you don't know. You know, there's certain rituals and certain things and belief systems in certain martial arts you don't know. There's certain things, you know, like dating back as far as you can go. You know, nobody realizes that these martial arts go back hundreds and thousands of years, you know. And there could be something one day you'll come across it and you'll go, oh my goodness, what the heck is this? You're like, wow, this is amazing. And most people, they go, just a piece of paper and a scroll with some scripture in it. And then you find out it's something like you see in Cobra Kai. I'm not going to make any spoilers out there for anyone, you know, for some people might not have seen Cobra Kai, the certain seasons on it. But let's just say they found something on there, because Daniel in it, the character, finds something with Chosen, you know, his former arch enemy. But, you know, I'm not going to go into detail, but let's just say, let's put it this way. They found something like we would do, where, you know, where you least expect. There's always going to be something within an art. And there's always stuff that you've probably noticed, that even in the Taekwondo sort of community, there are probably certain things you think, oh, no, you can't use that in the out in the club, but you can use it in a form of defense, because what's to say they're not going to say to you, oh, hold on a moment, I can't use that because I'm outdoors, it's against the law. I went, well, what are you going to use in self-defense then? We're going to turn around and go, oh, it's all right, I'll just yeah, I'm just gonna do whatever it is to do to entertain you, and then they'll just laugh at you, and then they'll probably still attack you. or if they just really like you, they'll say, do you know what, I'll give up. I can't be asked to attack you, and then they'll run off. Here's one for you to make you laugh. A friend of mine called Lee Hagger, he's got his own podcast called Chew the Fat with Lee Hagger and his crew. Steve Parsons, I've just got a shout out there, and Carl English as well, third person in there. They had a particular show where he's just come back. Unfortunately, it was his dad's passing. He's just come out and he's wanted to go home after the funeral. And then apparently he was supposed to have got mugged. And the guy said to me, look, all three of them, he went off and they went to try and take money off him and his phone and everything like that. And they said, right, okay. And he said, look, do you know what? I'm done with this. I just want to go home. I've just come home from my dad's funeral. What's the matter with you? And this guy apparently felt so bad. He actually took some money out, and wanted to give it to him.
Oh.
Yeah. That's like you coming home from somewhere, you know, from a situation. You just think, right, I've come home from a wake, getting attacked. How much more of a strange and a bad day is this? You know, you don't want this to happen to you. And then the person that's supposed to be attacking and taking and being a thief and taking stuff away from you, these bunch of thieves, are actually giving you money. Now, can you imagine the conversation with the police? Hello, mate. Yeah, I've just got mugged. But what the weirdest thing is how you can explain to the police? How are they going to put that on their file? Like, yeah, a person who's got mugged is now, the mugger is now giving them money instead. You can't make that up. That's just like strange. It's like, hang on, give me your money, give me your phone. Hold on a minute. I feel really bad for you. I'm going to give you my phone.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you my money. Like, whoa, who's mugging who? You know, they'll be like, oh, you should be calling the police on me. Be like, no, I don't want it. I just want to go home. I think it's like they wanted to give him £20. He says, oh, do you know what? I feel really bad. He said, I'm going to give you £20. And he left it on the curb. And my friend just said, what are you doing? You just tried to mug me. Now you're trying to give me your money. What's the matter with you?
Fair enough.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. When also overall your plans, congratulations on getting on board with the future instructing, by the way.
Oh, thanks, man.
With the sort of breakdancing, how many times a week do you train for that? You know, how do you fit that in with your martial arts and your gymnastics?
Man. Yeah, that's a good question, because I'm still figuring that out at the moment. So what I tend to do is, if I've got a competition in Taekwondo coming up, the breakdancing has to be put on hold. I can't spread myself too thin. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise the sessions are too long. So when I train at the gym, I train 4 to 5 times a week push, especially with like work and stuff as well, because I've got kind of got to balance that out as well. You know, and then obviously there's, you know, spending time with my girlfriend B, you know. I can't always be training 24/7. I used to. No. I'll be in the gym like twice a day sort of thing. I'll do breakdancing and then I'll go to martial arts later on. I suppose, so Tuesdays and Fridays, so I train 2 hours. Well, I teach in the first hour, train in the second on the Tuesday, and then the same on the Friday as well. If the class isn't that busy, then I'll train both hours, which is quite nice. Then obviously I go to the gym, I weight train, I do a lot of body weight training as well, which kind of crosses over really nicely with my breakdancing, because that's all upper body, well, it's your whole body, everything, like everything all mixed into one, whether you're dancing or doing skills. When you're doing like your kicks, I suppose I tend to predominantly practice a lot of the sparring side of stuff with Taekwondo. I tend to do a lot of the technical and the patterns and the step spar and all the other stuff when I'm actually in class, because that's when everybody's doing it, sort of thing. Whereas, so yeah, I suppose, I'd say right now I'd probably train Taekwondo probably like a good 5 times a week. Wow. I tend to cross it over with my legs. So if I do like a leg session at the gym, before I lift any weights or do anything like that, I'll do like leg mobility. So like there's these like kick drills that you can do to increase the height of your kicks, like a form of flexibility training and stuff. Like I'm trying to get my kicks like silly high. I want to get them like really, really cool. Like those ones where they're holding a split, that kind of thing, you know, just getting good range. But then I'll find that with the flares and the windmills and the power moves and stuff, or any acrobatics and like tricking, it works really well, because you do the same thing. You swing your legs really fast. You try to, you know, so I'm still kind of figuring it out and just fine tuning a few things so that the training can be somewhat optimal, rather than me doing, okay, well, I'm going to do breakdancing now, and then I'm going to, I'll do a few kicks. You know, when you just, everything's just a mess, jumbled, isn't it? Like, yeah.
Would you consider sort of like in the foreseeable future, if you were chosen for like a part somewhere where they thought, you know what, we've been contacted by someone that you'd be ideal for this part because of your background. Would you, number one, sort of take it upon yourself where like something like if Cobra Kai was to come along, something like Cobra Kai, and they said, Isaac, we like your background, we like your movements, you suit this particular type of role or character. And even something like Scott Adkins, because he's great with the martial arts, where it's combined over the years. He's not just been in just the latest John Wick film. Is also known as the character Boyka, in Undisputed, and the flips, the kicks, the movements. Oh my goodness, just astounding, incredible. Now, do you feel that, because obviously he's very acrobatic, very flexible, athletical man, similar to yourself? Would you incorporate certain movements with your kicks, with those types of movements, intricate sort of movements, with what you're doing with your gymnastics and your taekwondo?
Yeah, 100%.
Because the flick, it's like, was it called like the Guyver kick? When he does that, as he kicks out, it's called the Guyver kick. So as he was just about to land, he flips.
He flips, doesn't he? And then he does that like kind of
kick out. Yeah, Guyver kick
is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, they call it the Guyver kick. Whoa, and I'm a fan of, if you're a fan into anime and manga stuff, I'd check out the Guyver kick. It's Isaac, check out Guyver Dark Hero.
Okay.
And there's a guy in it there who, when he's in the Guyver suit, he calls upon Guyver, because it's a bit like, it's like a dark version of Power Rangers, really.
Yeah.
And he is a lot of how they incorporate the movements in it is amazing, and the effects. I'm surprised they haven't made another film of it, actually, of Guyver, because I think it's more of the funding and the people and the type of character that would suit it. But I think Scott Adkins and even someone like yourself, with the type of martial arts attributes, background, I think Guyver, whoever is listening on this, I think you should make another Guyver one. Not the Guyver film, with similar to the Dark Hero, but obviously with sort of more effects to it, which is more drawn, like you would see in like Transformers, like a Michael Bay thing. How the effects have been put together. Things like that with the Transformers.
Yeah,
and maybe a little bit like they would have with John Wick, kind of thing. But you want to incorporate all those different types of kicks and effects, and you need to have the right type of person to fill that role. Because I think Scott Adkins and someone like yourself with kicks, flips like that, and the Ginger Ninja. I actually met the Ginger Ninja.
Oh yeah,
I met him at the UK Martial Arts Show. Yeah, I need to put it. Actually, you reminded me. I need to put a bit more of that up on from who I met. Actually, brilliant guy. Listening to
great videos and stuff. Like, I definitely watched a few, like, to learn like moves back, like years back. Like,
and I had the honor of meeting the Ginger Ninja, and
wow,
amazing. This is what I mean. It's when you go to these shows, it's not about just the martial arts. It's meeting great people, behind the martial arts. I think there was a number of people that were there that were shocked that have met certain people they didn't realize who they'd be like when they're face to face, because I remember when I met Bob Sykes, the martial arts sort of former editor and owner of Martial Arts Illustrated, and Paul Barnett. I remember when I first met them, they said to me, "Crikey, you look different in person, Phil, and you're a lot taller." I'm a lot taller in person, apparently, in physique and stature, as I would as I look like, because obviously I'm sitting down. Nobody knows what I actually look like until I'm actually in person, standing up. But it's been a while since you and I have met each other. But I know, Isaac and I know Isaac, tremendous stature. When he was doing his windmills, showing these young lads doing the windmills and flares, I was like, wow, that's amazing. Because most of the time you don't always see the breakdown of it. You just see the end result. A lot of people are just doing it. So it's good to see that. No, it would be nice to sort of see see those side of things again one day, because I know you're obviously focusing on one thing, but you don't know. Who knows? You might be able to sort of finish off what you want to do in that area.
Yeah.
Continue doing what you're doing with the breakdancing and gymnastics, and it could be a point of where you do actually end up merging those together as yourself as a brand, as Isacc James. So I'll be looking forward to that, Isacc. For anybody else out there, I've said it's exclusive on the Phil Carew Show 2.0. Isacc James, look out for him, guys. I've got a good feeling he'll actually be on the Hall of Fame. Wink, 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 wink. I've got a feeling he's going to be on there. I know. I've got a feeling he won't just be out there on the UK martial arts. He'll be out there in the world. I've got a feeling that there's going to be something going on in the background here that I can't say too much, but I've heard that there's going to be some good things about this gentleman here, with Isacc James. So be aware, stay tuned. I'm also going to not take too much time with Isacc James's time on here. I'm going to make sure that we've got some other things we're going to mention, which I have got a number of other questions, but I don't want to take too much time. I want to make sure that we make the best of these questions, because I know there's going to be always another time. So there'll be a part 2 with Isacc James. So I'm going to get an update in regards of what he's doing with not just his martial arts and taekwondo, but also his breakdancing and gymnastics. Because, guys, seriously, if you don't know who Isacc James is, please check him out. Just not just on YouTube. He's on Instagram as well. Check him out on Google. He's got a number of different things that he's been involved in, and I'm not going to say too much, but he's also been a superhero. I can't say too much of the children because that wouldn't be good. So, but let's just say he is a superhero in real life too. But I can't identify it because otherwise he wouldn't be like a superhero for the children, would it? Yeah, exactly. He is a hidden superhero within the community for special celebrations and events. But I'll leave that to the parents, because I'm sure they'd be interested in that one day for functions, because he's really great with that. He is one of the guys, one of the Marvel superheroes, but I'm not going to say who it is because that will be a spoiler. But yeah, let's just say he's got the great characteristics of being a Marvel superhero. Right, guys, what I'm going to do, I'm going to let everybody know that in the foreseeable future, Isacc James, I know it's not going to be the last. I know it's the first and won't be the last we'll hear from himself. For episodes, I'm not sure which will be, but I'm sure we'll have some pre-arrangements with that. Please don't forget to comment, share, and subscribe on the Phil Carew Show on YouTube. I'm also available here, Facebook Live, and I'm on LinkedIn. And like I said, I'll get some more information from Isacc. If you're interested in particular things that Isaac's doing, because he will be an instructor, he'll be teaching as well. If you want to know more about this particular discipline and martial arts, and you're in Colchester with Taekwondo, I'm going to get some information from Isacc. If you want to get that personally from himself or even their organisation that Isaac's with, let us know. I'm going to get some information from Isacc. I'm going to put it on here at some point, attached to this video. And yeah, feel free to have a little Q&A. When Isaac's obviously ready, he'll come back to you with some answers in his own time when he's good and ready. But yeah, no, it's been a pleasure and honour being able to discuss your journey and celebrate your black belt and your championship win as well, Isacc. Congratulations once again.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks for having me on the show as well.
No, you're most welcome. And it'd be great to have you on, because I am planning in the foreseeable future, Isacc, to let the audience know out there, is to have a bigger studio where I can sit down and actually also have other recordings, so there'll be more edited in there where I can sit down, can have a cup of coffee live. I have been using another studio, but I am sort of gradually easing into obviously in my own time, I will reach it there. but I will be able to sort of sit down and have some sort of discussions there in another studio where we can sit down live like you and I are now, and throw out some funny questions, because no doubt, you know, in the show you're always going to get other guests as well. So who knows, Isaac, you know, you could be one of those guys where you could be coming in telling us about your update of not just another championship win, but also about your breakdancing and your gymnastics.
Fantastic. Yeah.
With your gymnastics, quickly, just before I forget, with your gymnastics, how is it, you know, with sort of the martial arts side? Do you notice that you use quite a lot of movements that help you with your martial arts, with your gymnastics?
Certainly. It's so the way I'd say, the way I'd explain it is, it's like with like different like skills and stuff, like flips, things that would challenge one's coordination, confidence, just in being able to move your body in a certain way. When you go back to, like, say, I'll never say that it's easier, or it's a lot less physically demanding to, you know, evade attacks and move around. I find that when I spar with people, they say, you're annoying to catch. You're just like, because I think with the breakdancing, you got like your top rocking where you're on your feet, you do a lot of your standing footwork. You're trying to listen to the music. You're trying to apply the moves to the music. Music is fast and slow. When you apply that same concept or that same principle to martial arts, then you have a tempo where you're fighting. Like Taekwondo is very bouncy on the toes and stuff, isn't it? Most of them are always on their toes bouncing before they attack or they're moving around. I find that I'll use this in response to my opponent, because I see myself as an adaptable fighter at the minute. When I go to the competitions, I don't necessarily have a coach there to tell me like, oh, you need to do this and this and this. Some people will come up to me after and say, oh, that was good, you should try more of this, which is really helpful. I listen to anyone like that has anything to input. But I find that if I was to actively rely on my agility derived from breakdancing and gymnastics, it definitely plays a huge part in it. I don't use it enough though. This is something that like I said earlier, with the next competition, I want to experiment with this and see if I could not necessarily get away with certain things, but see if I can, you know, throw a flip or two. I know there's that movie Never Back Down where there was that guy in the circle and he was doing all the capoeira tricks, the cartwheels, the flips. He didn't actually attack the guy, and the guy just KO'd him, innit? And that was it. So I don't want that to happen, but I want to be able to see if I can like actually merge and incorporate these flips with attacks, or being able to do it safely, or at least within the confines of the rules, because in Taekwondo it's semi-contact. You can't clap someone like full pelt and KO them, but it can happen. I mean, not necessarily in a malicious way, but if you have like a well-timed kick or a well-timed punch and the person don't see it coming, that's normally when these, you know, KO like when these knockouts happen, sort of thing, you know. So I suppose, yes, this is my kind of next stage, my next project to almost, like you say, like a character, like a, you know, a superhero. I want to be able to create a style that would contest not just singular one-dimensional fighting style, but mixed martial arts. You know, create something, you know, mesh them all together and then see if I can create something crazy, you know.
I've got a good feeling that you will, Isaac, because you're very creative. And now if you're able to do that, that would be amazing. That'd be amazing. Right, guys, I'm going to have to love you and leave you and let this lovely gentleman, Isaac James, don't forget Isaac James. If you need to know him a bit more about himself and information, I'll leave some information, what I'm going to get from Isaac in the bottom of the page at some point later today or sometime this week. And then we'll go from there. But yeah, no, stay tuned and keep an eye out for Isaac James. There's more to come. It isn't just gymnastics, martial arts. There's other things that are going to be coming on into play. Thank you very much for coming on to the Phil Carew Show 2.0, Isaac James.
Thanks for having me, Phil. All right.
No worries, bro.
Nice.
You take care. Bye for now.
Bye.